Ageless Energy Radio. How to feel 22 at any age. Would you like to feel young and vibrant regardless of your age? Never have to call in sick again. Be laser focused and productive all day long. Stop feeling stressed out by your life. Stay calm and confident no matter what. Go to bed feeling peaceful and wake up energized? Ageless Energy is healing your self-generating energy systems through the renewal of your body, mind, and spirit for complete wellness without artificial stimulants or medication. Would you listen? Anyone who wants to feel young, ageless, and productive regardless of their years. Join your host, Dr. Chandler George, as we explore your mind, body, spirit to feel 22 at any age.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Chandler George. You are listening to the Ageless Energy How to Feel 22 at Any Age podcast. We are all about healing your self-generating energy systems, the renewal of your body, mind, and spirit. And today is awesome because I have a special guest today of somebody who treats my family, myself, Dr. George, and my wife, Sherry, as well as many other folks that I've known over the last 20 years. And I've known him probably 15 or 20 years, and that's Dr. Daniel Bielen. And Dr. Bielen, I'm going to let him describe himself here in a little bit, but he's an O.M.D. He's a scientist. He has this incredible research he's done and technology that I firmly believe in and want everyone to participate in, one as a patient, and if you're a healthcare provider, then somebody who would invest and add one into your practice so that you can be a better healer. Dr. Bielen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. George. It's great being here.
Go ahead and fill out your resume there a little bit for us.
I started out when I was in 8th grade wanting to be a neurophysiologist. I knew I liked the brain, and it's taken me to where I am now. So here we are 50 years later. I didn't create this. I actually discovered it in Germany. You know, in Germany, they can be much more open-minded, and from a scientific point of view, they let in a lot more than doctors do here. And what happens then is that if there's something that looks like it could be plausible, they try it on patients. And so a lot of the data that we have is from doing this on 50,000 patients. We not necessarily set up these double-blind controlled trials, but we see it over and over and over again on thousands and thousands of patients. And what we are doing is we're measuring the temperature of the skin on the torso and head of the body in about 100 points. We're taking temperatures of the skin, just the surface temperature, and then we're subjecting the person to a little bit of cool air. So we take off their shirt and they're naked from the waist up, and we let them habituate or kind of get used to, and let their bodies get used to the new temperature, the exposed temperature, at a normal room temperature. We don't have to freeze it or do anything like that. And after 10 minutes, there's a special signal that comes to the skin from the internal organs that we can then indirectly see the internal organs and their function in this non-invasive test. So there's no radiation, there's no pain. And what we're finding now, we're starting to compare these readings with PET scans of cancer patients and also CT scans and x-rays. We're actually finding very high correlation of what we find on the skin to what's happening inside their bodies.
Wow. So give me some examples of why a typical family might want this for, you tell me, 15 years old. Who is this for? Who is this test primarily for?
Well, let me put it this way. We have been cleared by FDA for what's called adjunct diagnostics of conditions in the body that could lead to cancer. We have been cleared by FDA for inflammations in the body. And probably there isn't one listener that's listening to this podcast that doesn't have an inflammation somewhere. And, I was just doing a lecture in Germany. I lecture in Asia and in Europe and in the United States. I'm going up to one of the greatest doctors living today, Dr. Klinghardt, this next weekend where he has a Lyme conference. And what we can tell from the inflammations caused by Lyme disease, which is very big and getting bigger every day, is we can see the impact it's having on different organ systems, because there are co-infections that are related to Lyme that can be passed through a tick or even a mosquito bite or even the fleas on your dog. And there are microbiological infective agents that can go to the brain. And we now believe that Alzheimer's and all of the neurological diseases, Parkinson's, is not only probably due to chemicals in the environment like pesticides, but also infections of microorganisms. And with this device, with this method, it's very helpful in finding, is this an infection or is this a toxin? It has a different look to it. It has a different signature. We call these signature recognition. And, I lectured to a group of the top breast radiologists at Harvard University. These are the top biophysicists and radiologists sitting in a room, and they were like looking at me like, I hope this isn't one of those old infrared camera methods. And I said, no, absolutely not. We're taking temperatures with an infrared sensor. It's a little sensor. It's about a half an inch in diameter. But we're just taking it mathematical reading. So if this skin temperature above the liver is 35.5, then it goes in as a mathematical number. And then after 10 minutes, that should normally cool, because when you're exposed to cool air, your body constricts all your capillaries to preserve your body heat. So all of your temperatures on your skin should cool by about half a degree. Well, if there's liver disease that doesn't act the same way, it may stay the same temperature or might even get warmer. And the radiologists were absolutely enthusiastic about this, and they want to do a real study at Harvard in breast imaging, because they said, you know what, we love this device because it's mathematical and it's using mathematics, and that's the future of radiology. It's called computer-assisted diagnostics.
So how often, we believe in this test and you're explaining the test, and so if I want to do one, how often should I do the test? And like if I get it, give me an example, because I know you're an O.M.D. and you're a practicing physician as well. Give me an example. If I come in and I'm a patient at your office or one of your many doctors under you that have this device, what's the typical protocol? What should I look for? As me, the housewife with a few kids, wondering, I don't believe these Western doctors. What do I do? What would you say?
Okay, so here's how we do it. Say a person comes in and they're gaining weight and they have no control over their weight. And no matter what they do, the doctors say, no, this is normal. That blood test is normal. This is abnormal. This is this, but it's not bad enough. We don't know why you're obese. Just try not to eat. Just watch your calories. Well, they can have a real metabolic problem. They can have thyroid disease. They could have autoimmune thyroiditis. And what we see in our scan is we see that the points above the thyroid are colder than the average of all the rest of the points in autoimmune disease. And because of that, we can now select a better test through the blood. We just do a conventional blood test, but it's what your doctor almost never does, is test thyroid antibodies. You can have normal thyroid hormone, but you can still have an inflammation of an autoimmune nature. That's your body attacking itself in the thyroid, and a blood test will measure it, but the patient didn't know and the doctor didn't know to go that direction until they got this test, which has a signature for autoimmune thyroid. Or say that they don't yet have diabetes, but they will have it if they keep their diet the same way or they keep not exercising. And we can see that the pancreas points, that's above the belly button, about 1 inch up and 1 inch to the side, those points get cold. They start out cold and they remain cold in pre-diabetes and diabetes. So then we send them out for what's called an A1C test. And then they will see that they're on the borderline, or maybe that's elevated. The doctor might not have tested that to begin with. So the amount of information has been compared by we have a radiologist we work with, a nuclear medicine physician. He says that our technology, and it's called the Alpha, ALFA, like the Italian sports car, AlphaSight, like your vision sight, AlphaSight 9000, that he says this provides me as much information as I get from an MRI.
And let me jump in for a minute with just a personal story. I know because we can't really talk about anybody else, but I know for our listeners, I'm 53, and I had gained weight, and I was having health issues and couldn't figure it all out. And so while I have a conventional medical doctor and did get a blood lab, I had Dr. Bielen tell me what to get. I got blood labs, and then I had to get some more. And then he tested me, and then it showed all this weirdness of the thyroid. Since you said that, I actually had that happen. I was one of those guys, I could go to bed at 8:30 and sleep till 7, and it's because I was tired. I was tired all the time. I just thought it was allergies and maybe low testosterone, but I had no idea what was going on with my thyroid. And you found multiple things going on with my thyroid and started treating it with multiple ways because of the AlphaSight that you used to figure out what was going on. And basically, no other doctor or physician was doing anything like that. And even if they did, they didn't know how to go about treating it.
Dr. George, just think of it this way. All of us are not getting better and better like we want, or maybe after following your podcasts and doing a few lifestyle changes, we can get better and better. And if we exercise every day, exercise turns on so many anti-aging mechanisms that they haven't even begun to discover the anti-aging effects of exercise. But if we can know the processes that are going on within us that are leading towards different diseases, that's the time to reverse. That's the time that you have gas.
Catch it before you're half dead and major symptoms, what you're saying. Catch it subclinical, if you will. And most doctors in the Western world can't and don't have the technology to be able to do that, don't know what to do if they did. And you're saying this would do that. Is that right?
Well, doctors look at your blood tests, and most all doctors look at the blood tests as individual tests. So if they say, oh, this liver function is normal, even though it's almost abnormal, they'll still call it normal. And if you have that problem combined with, say, a near anemia where they're saying, oh, a hemoglobin of 12.5 is normal, where really that's the border, you have a complex of almost abnormal readings. The doctors don't pay attention. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Because if I had 7/8 of a problem here and 7/8 of a problem there, don't you think that they're going to affect each other and summate and put me over the edge? Yes, but they don't put the tests together and systems together.
All of our a la carte instead of seeing the system as a whole, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have specialized so much in medicine that it's become ridiculous where you go to people and you go to your typical neurologist, and you're having some dizziness. So they might say, well, can you roll a little piece of paper in your fingers? Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with your cerebellum. They can't make that conclusion. They try to do things quickly. They're constrained by time. This is for, we have to spend more time with ourselves, and we have to find doctors that will spend more time, that will look at us as a whole and look at all of our systems and not just one, and be able to work with all the systems from a bird's eye point of view, and then get specific when they have an idea of what the terrain looks like. Some people have perfect pancreas, but they have some problems with the biliary ducts coming out of the liver so they can't digest fats. Well, how is your regular doctor going to see that? Does your doctor ask you what color your stools are? Well, we can see that with the scanning thermography. Then we know what questions we should ask the patient. Hey, I notice your gallbladder point didn't change. It should cool, and it stayed the same. How are you when you eat, say, French fries? Oh, I get sick. I can't eat fats. Well, I wouldn't have been prompted to ask the question as a doctor unless I would have had some guide that would tell me where to look. And I can't tell you, Dr. George, how many times I have used the thermography, this AlphaSight 9000 device, and it's led me to ask the right questions, and the patients look at me and go, how could you have known that? Look, let me tell you, we have a device in China right now, and I'm sitting here in California, and we had a colleague of mine doing a test on a guy, and I found that all of the right sides of his head were 1 degree colder than all of the left sides of his head. That's the sign of a head trauma. So I said, this looks like a head trauma. Did he have a car accident or did he have some accident? And the guy that was there said, that is amazing. That is incredible. When I was 35, I fell against this wall and I was unconscious for a day. And I had all the brain scans, and the brain scan said I wasn't bleeding or anything, but I haven't felt right ever since, and I get these headaches. So,
let me jump in. So you mean to tell me, I know concussion, we hear concussion all the time going on here in the United States, and concussion protocol. So you mean to tell me that if it's used correctly, that the AlphaSight can help determine old concussions and how it relates to the body and help one get better? Because I didn't even know
Absolutely. That. Yes, we have 8 brain points. Dr. Hickey, our radiologist, is able to take some ultrasound measurements to look at the vasculature of the lower part of the brain in alpha thermography cases where we document what we can see with the alpha as it's looking at the vasculature going to the brain, both through the jugular and through the carotid artery. So we get a very good idea of how the brain is utilizing oxygen, of structural abnormalities in the cranium and vascular abnormalities in the outside of the cranium and going into the brain.
Where would a typical layperson who is interested in this technology and wants to get tested, where would they find maybe research or more information on this? I mean, is it from you, or are there other research places besides you? I mean,
yeah, well, we're in touch with all the people that have our devices. There's about 150. We're now in 14 countries. So they should email at info@alpha.global. That's ALFA, like the sports car. info@alpha.global is perhaps the best way.
Okay, and then they can also, I used to have an older version of one of these devices some 20 years ago now, I think. You can also email me at support@cashfirecoaching.com, support@cashfirecoaching.com, and I'll be glad to put you in touch with Alpha as well, because I surely believe in this. And it was Dr. Bielen when I first heard lecture on this in Boston many years ago. Okay, so I've gotten tested for concussion. I've gotten tested for these different things I didn't even know going on in my body. Now, what would be a typical situation where, okay, I got something going on with me. You can even use me if you want. So, I mean, how often do we retest? How often do we go back? I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So you find what's going on. Now I want to get well. What do we do next?
Okay, so you understand you have 2 or 3 problems. Then you say the lymph system is blocked. So you might have an old virus. So you might have had herpes, or you might have had mono when you were a kid, or Epstein-Barr virus, and that's why you're fatigued. That's why you have chronic fatigue. There's low-grade viruses that can exist for 10 to 20 years, and they get into the lymph. And then so you would you can go to the health food store. You can do different types of diets. I would say with lymph problems, you should probably limit your dairy products because that accumulates in the lymph and makes it not function quite as well with lymph circulation. You should probably decrease your protein intake because proteins get stuck in the lymph. You should do things for your immune system. You might want to take elderberry extract. You might want to take lysine, which is antiviral. You might want to...
And elderberry is antiviral too, is that right?
Yeah.
He said elderberry. Okay, yeah, I just want to be sure. So that's antiviral as well. Okay, awesome.
So it'll tell you what you need to do. You know, the most effective diet for your immune system is the ketogenic diet, where you're eating mostly just vegetables and a little bit of meat. And when you do that, you will lose weight. You tend to convert fat into the nutrition that you need for your body. You know, it's cancer patients have better results with whatever they're doing, whether it's going through chemo or not, with the ketogenic diet, as well as seizure disorders. People who have seizures should go on the ketogenic diet. You can look that up. There's a lot of references, and there are many, many books. Dr. Mercola is just coming out with a new book. Dr. Mercola, by the way, interviewed me, and he fully endorses our Alpha system as the best thermography system out there. He told everybody in the room at a big conference that we were both at, Dr. George and I, in Orlando, that they need to get rid of their infrared cameras and get this method. So we hope that you'll tell your doctors they need to look into the AlphaSight 9000 system, and they can call us. We have an 800 number if you'd like to give it to them. It's 866 and then 652 6600. That's 866-652-6600. Extension 107 will get to me, or you can reach me at info@alpha.global.
Now,
but, you know, go ahead.
I'm thinking somewhere they might even be able to meet you. I'm not sure you're even going to be there, but I know June 9th here in Dallas, Fort Worth, 2017 is our next conference that we're having here that George, I'm putting on with Aegis Energy. And of course, Dr. Bielin's invited, and hopefully he'll be able to be there with us. Maybe he can let us all know if he's able to come. But I would definitely show up when these doctors are in the room. Whether you're a doctor or a patient or whatever, we're all human. We're all patients anyway of some sort. And you need to show up and learn as much as you can. It's just utterly amazing what it can do for your life. And not just your life, but those loved ones around you. You know, there's nothing like having our health. And what I find, and Dr. Bielen probably agrees, you know, I'm in my 50s. Dr. Bielen's just a little more mature than me. But people our age, all of a sudden, health becomes a challenge. We've been pushing hard. We've had a lot happen, and health becomes a challenge. And yet we're smarter and wiser than we were before. And we have the economics a lot of people do, and they think they're free. But guess what? Now they don't have their health. And so it's the greatest gift we can give you. This is why we started the podcast, Aegis Energy, How to Feel 22 at any age, and do unconventional things and some conventional to get your health back. This is why Dr. Bielen graciously agreed to do this interview, is to come on and make a difference in your life.
You see, you can't get where you want to get with medicine as it's practiced today. Forget it. You're going to go to the doctor. You're going to do an exam. If you don't have anything that's huge and life-threatening, you're going to go back home. You're still not going to feel right. You're going to wonder what's wrong with you. You don't know who to go to. It's really a mess out there, especially in this country, which really penalizes you for going to alternative medicine. But I'm afraid that alternative medicine, as long as the person is properly licensed and has a good reputation, is the way to prevent disease. I'm sorry to say that, but it's some of the best alternative doctors. They're full MDs. They could be cardiovascular surgeons. I work with a cardiovascular surgeon in Malaysia, and we have a clinic, and we're treating cancer patients there. And he is so excited because he is seeing people get out of their stage 4 cancers with some very special things that we've brought from Europe to over there. and we're documenting everything with the Alpha system. We can actually see the tumors going away and then see that their PET scan, which is the best test for tumors, shows that the activity of the tumor is dying. And we have 3 cases now. Also, the Alpha system, we have someone that has multiple cystic processes all over their liver and abdomen, and the Alpha has a blocked point on each of the cysts. We have an ultrasound where we can see this. It's really amazing to do something like this that's so available. Except you have to find your doctor, and if your doctor's open-minded, tell him to get this device. I mean, it's just really going to open his eyes.
I mean, if some of the people are sick on the line today, and they have the means, and a lot of people listening to the show, I'm sure do, can they make an appointment and fly to California to see you? I mean, you are seeing patients on a limited basis, I think, right? So what is your phone number or information of your clinic where they could actually see you as opposed to somebody else if they want to?
Yeah, they can come here. I see people 3 days a week. I'm usually not booked for more than 3 weeks at a time. So, and then I have an office in West Los Angeles as well. Once a month, I'm in Los Angeles. So my number is 831-685-1125. That goes direct to my clinic line. That's 831-685-1125. If you want to see a little bit about me, I'm at Fortify Health. Like to make stronger, you fortify your health. So fortifyhealth.com.
Dr. Bielen, this has been great, and I know it's been tight and in a compressed time, and I know we're going to have you on again here in a few months to further expound on what we did on this first show. I think that this is the gift, and the listeners would demand it, and I want everyone to go out there and do that. Also, be sure and download the podcast for the show notes, Dr. Bielen's show notes with the links and everything of what he talked about today. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be online so everybody can go get that there in case we talked too fast or you weren't able to hear it here. And then don't forget that June 9th is our next event here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Aegis Energy. And you can certainly get that information from support@catchfirecoaching.com. And many times, not always, but many times, Dr. Bielen is also there. And it's a good chance if you're a doctor or even a potential patient wanting to see him at his clinic, not there, of course, that would be the improper place, then that's a good place to at least meet him. We're also turning these podcasts from Aegis Energy on health, how to feel 22 at any age, into a book. And so Dr. Bielen will have a book chapter in there of what he's talking about here, as well as many other resources within that book. And so the subscribers and the people that are leaving reviews to do with the show will be the first to actually receive a book just for the cost of shipping on me. Okay, so be sure and do that as well. Well, Dr. Bielen,
thank you for having me, and I'd love to do more of this. Don't forget that health is a balance, and we need to stay in balance. So we need to see how we are not in balance and let go and let our own vitality rule by removing obstacles. So I'm looking forward to doing much more in the future and to receiving all the of you who want to evolve their health into pure health.
Thank you, Dr. Bielen. Aegis Energy, how to feel 22 at any age. We'll see you next week on the next show at Tuesday morning for your download. Thank you.